Hey friends, it's Will Wolfwich. Happy Chanukah. It's the 7th night of Chanukah. And I have a message for all of my Jewish brothers and sisters out there. About 6 years ago, I went on this journey to come closer to my faith after going on a search for truth, mulling through the evidence, coming to conclusions. We can save that story for another time. But I think there's something very important to say right now. I want to say it with love and respect to all of my Jewish brothers and sisters out there. And it just pains me so much to know that there are so many Jews out there that don't know that they were created. And I implore you to please just listen up and listen, maybe not such a sensitive ear, to listen, chew out this thought for a bit. I've been thinking about it for a long, long time. When it comes to Chanukah, it's a very interesting thing. We're celebrating a war that ultimately, I believe, we lost. We were rededicating the Second Temple. Right now, there is no Second Temple. The war against the Greeks that we're celebrating on Chanukah is different than 80 years ago, let's say, with the Holocaust. The Holocaust, the Nazis, they wanted to get rid of every last Jew on the planet. It was a physical war. They wanted to kill the Jews. That's why they were trying to throw us into the gas chambers. They were trying to do everything they could to systematically destroy and rid the world of every last Jew. The Greek war was different. The Greek war was a spiritual war. They didn't necessarily want to kill us. They wanted to kill the ideology that we had. You can learn your Torah, but you got to learn your Torah like a Greek. You have to learn it like arithmetic, as if it's like science. Don't connect it to the source, to your original source. Don't connect it to God. Just think of it as if it's a science. The Greeks, they were going after three things. They decreed three things against the Jews. It was, you can't have bris milah, no circumcision. Second thing is no Shabbos, no keeping Shabbat. And the third thing was no sanctifying the moon, no Rosh Chodesh. Now when you think about the Jewish world nowadays, Klal Yisrael nowadays, bris milah, let's say, thank God, many men around the world, Jewish men around the world, are still getting bris milah. We're 8 days old, it's our parents' decision, there's not much decision that we have in it. But when we get into free will and the decisions that we make as Jews as we get older, there's Shabbat and there's Rosh Chodesh. Those are the two other things that the Greeks wanted to take away from the Jews. This is the thing that they wanted to take out. They were trying to rid the world of the ideology of the Jew. That's what we're celebrating on Chanukah. So many of us are lighting our candles. It feels like it's the most celebrated Jewish holiday. And when we think about Shabbat, the pleasure of Shabbat, how many of us truly feel and understand the pleasure of Shabbat? How many of us study and think about the laws of keeping Shabbat? How many of us think about our ancestors and what they did in order to keep Shabbat throughout history, our tortured history? How many of us think about, you don't have to think so far back, in New York, there's all these stories, right after the Holocaust, so many Jewish families went to New York and they would go to work, and every Friday they would lose their job, and every Sunday they'd have to go look for another job because they would not work on Shabbat. That's how much they held Shabbat so dear, the thing that the Greeks wanted to rid the Jews of. How many of us Jews nowadays care about Shabbat? How many of us Jews nowadays really think about the beauty and the pleasure of Shabbat and live with that, live with these Jewish values? It was a war against Jewish values. How many of us live with Jewish values? Rosh Chodesh? Yesterday was Rosh Chodesh. What is Rosh Chodesh? What does it mean to sanctify the moon? The Jewish people are moon people. What does that mean? What does it mean? What are these Jewish values that the Greeks were trying to rid the world of? Why? Why'd they want to rid the world of it? And are we living with these values? Are we living as a Jew, or are we living as a Greek? Are we living with Jewish values? Are we living with Greek values? I know I'm getting passionate, but it's a very passionate thing, because when we say that we're Jews and we show the world that we're Jews, the world seems to have a way of pointing at us and telling us that we're Jews when we don't remember. That's what anti-Semitism is all about. Anti-Semitism is when the world is reminded how much they hate the Jews, and the Jews are reminded that they're Jewish. So I give us all a bracha, I give us all a blessing, that we really tune in and introspect over the next 48 hours left of Chanukah. We're bringing all this light into the world. What does it mean, Chanukah? What are these values that we fought to keep? What are these values that we're proud of, that we brought to the world? The world was a pagan world where nothing meant anything, thieves and rape and pillaging and killing people, and we brought the values of love your neighbor like yourself to the world, to respect other people. We brought these values to the world, and we need to hold on to these values, and we need to cherish these values, and we need to live a Jewish life. What does it mean to live a Jewish life? That's what we need to do. And again, I'm saying this out of love for all of my family, for myself even, for all of us. There's a double standard against the Jew, and maybe there should be. We've been tasked with being a light unto the nation. We got to light up our nation to be able to light up the rest of the world, the rest of the other nations. And of course, there's a double standard, just like a president. You don't see him walking around, wearing whatever a president wears or running a red light. You see a random person run a red light. If you saw a president run a red light, you know what you'd be saying? We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We're kings. The Jewish people are kings, the chosen people, descendants of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. We need to start thinking about that. We need to, think about it within ourselves. We need to encourage our friends to think about it and to hold on to these values, again, that the Greeks wanted to rid the world of. You don't have to look so far. I'm here. Anybody that you can send a message, get together as Jewish people getting together. People getting together with other people, sharing the same values and making the world a better place. That's what it means to be a Jew, to make the world a better place. And please God, we'll see brighter days for the Jewish people.